Hello.
I've actually got my
Christmassy t-shirt on.
Still.
I just realised.
Yeah, we didn't record this the same time as the... Oh no, what did
In fact, I didn't wear the Christmassy t-shirt, so I'm
No,
kind
you
of...
just had the hat.
I'm making up for the lack of Christmassy attire.
So to prove that this isn't... We didn't film this at the same time as before. Actually, do you know another thing you could do? You could show people Babs her new hair. So remember
yeah.
Babs, the new Mad Science team member? Co-producer Barbara?
Yeah, she don't have nits. It's fine.
Beautiful. Depending on when this is dropping, hello 2019 or goodbye 2019, hello 2020. I don't know when we're going to drop this episode. So we're going to do a best of 2019. Jim hasn't really done his homework.
I have not watched as many films as I'd like to.
I'll do the best
To
of
pick
2019.
from.
I'll do
Yeah.
the best of 2019. Jim will attempt to remember
Try me.
films he's actually seen in 2019.
There'll be a lot of this.
Whether-
Oh yeah, I have seen that.
Whether they were good or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty much the best of 2018. Was very similar to that as well. If you remember my
To be honest-
my favourite of 2018, I left till the end, and you were like, "Oh yeah, no, you're right," and then you just had to change your list.
Yeah.
That was Lewis. Still
Yes,
very good.
That was a good film. Yes.
So yeah, I mean this is in no way a comprehensive list. I've probably been to the cinema even less than previous years, and didn't get to do any festivals this year. So I'm sure there's going to be some awesome stuff which will probably be on more general release next year. So bear in mind, this is an incomplete list, especially when you factor in Jim's contributions to this.
Which is be very minimal.
Yeah. So, all right, let's start with kind of one of the big blockbustery ones, and maybe a controversial choice for some people. Avengers Endgame. Have you seen Avengers?
I have seen it.
There you go. There's one, Jim. See. So, what do you think, Jim? Would you say that was a best of 2019 in general?
Oh, it's definitely up there. I really enjoyed Avengers Endgame. I haven't watched all of them, like all the side films. I'm not a big comic book fan. But I really enjoy them. Very entertaining. I didn't find it too long, even though it was a long film, and that says a lot.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed it. Good action sequences, great cast.
Yeah.
I think the Avengers are very well casted. That's a really a strong point for that particular franchise. And good fun.
If nothing else, and I don't find it as narratively satisfying, say, as like Avengers Infinity War, which is the one leading up to it.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliantly done. Obviously it had a much harder job because it had to kind of like not only finish the storyline that it set up in the earlier film,
Including a lot, wasn't it?
but also conclude pretty much
Yeah.
10 years worth of other films. And off the top of my head I can't
and a
remember
lot of big characters to kind of direct and navigate through that whole narrative.
and do emotionally satisfying arcs for most of them.
So for that big storyline, I think great job.
Yeah, I mean logistically, just from the sheer number of high-level movie stars. Now, to be fair, most of them became high-level movie stars thanks to the Marvel movies. Like Chris Evans hadn't done a huge amount. He wasn't considered an A-list until being Captain America and being in all the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
But in order to get all of those people in one room and to pull off all the incredible effects and everything like that, that's got to be just from a pure logistical movie making point of view amazing. The other thing that I really found fascinating with the Marvel kind of model of filmmaking is the amount of time they actually factor into reshoots. So quite a few interviews online, and I'll try to find some and drop links in the notes below, is about in the budget they put aside a huge chunk of money for reshoots. So they'll put together a rough assembly of the film and they'll go, you know what, this isn't working, or that's maybe not a good resolution for this character, let's add in all this other stuff. So effectively, although I think the version that we saw was probably about 3 hours and 15 minutes, the actual in terms of materials they shot, it's probably close to like 5 hours worth of stuff, which was kind of shot, taken out, other stuff put back
Which is
in.
understandable because it's a huge epic story.
Yeah,
So-
but I love the fact that they kind of factor that into the budget. It's not like an afterthought kind of thing, which for a lot of people, you're not going into a shoot planning on doing reshoots.
But again, I think that's because it's such a huge amount of characters and a lot of storylines. you would probably think to yourself, right, we're going to shoot what I think we need. Guaranteed, though, we're going to be missing stuff. We're going to have to fill in those blanks. So it's just, planning ahead.
But, and I'd also say that kind of addresses some of the criticisms. Obviously, you know, Martin Scorsese very famously criticised it wasn't cinema and all that. And I'm not going to tackle that. You can believe what you want. But the fact that they factor in enough for a reshoot, they know something is not quite right. They're not just going to push it out and say, oh, it's okay, they'll eat up any old shit.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that obviously they care enough then to go
there's
back
a commitment to the story, isn't there? There's a respect of the story. And
So that is my number 10. Avengers Endgame. There we go. I'm just a big blockbuster whore. So the next one, and listen very carefully, is Little Monsters. No, we're not giving ourselves a big up on Little Monster and saying that's one of the best, films of the 10 year. Obviously it is. But no, Little Monsters, Australian zombie film. Absolutely amazing. Have you seen this one?
I've not seen it. Oh. It does look like a lot of fun.
It's amazing. It starts with like a very dark, cynical heart, and it's hilarious. It's got Joshua Gad, who's like the voice of Olaf, and he's in like a lot of Disney stuff as well. And it's all about this irresponsible uncle, his nephew, and the rest of the nephew's like kindergarten class, effectively. I think they're 5 or 6, so anyway, in their nursery class or whatever, having to go on a school trip during, and a zombie invasion kind of happens midway through.
Of course.
It doesn't shy away from the gore. It goes to very dark places, and yet somehow by the end of it ends up being one of the sweetest films ever. Oh. It kills me to say that Little Monsters is one of the best 10 films this year, but absolutely check it out. I think it's available on Now TV for free. Do whatever you can to find it. It's one that I kind of wish I'd seen on the big screen, but still.
Yeah, no, very good. The trailer looked great for that. So
definitely check it out, Jim.
Will do.
Yeah, impressive amount of gore as well. Which, and again, just from a realistic point of view, there's some good interviews on some podcasts out there. I think it was the indie filmmakers podcasts with the interview with the director, and he talks about just the logistics of there must have had like 20 kids playing like 5-6 year olds.
Yeah.
Like the challenges of doing that, and obviously we've some experience just working with some kids in the past. The idea of workshopping with a bunch of kids, the extreme amount of gore and bad language and stuff like that, and
protecting them from that.
It's fantastic. Dolomite is my name. The biopic of Rudy Ray Moore, director of films such as The Human Tornado and Dolomite and various Dolomite sequels. Amazing. Complete return to form for Eddie Murphy.
That's good to know.
Almost the spiritual sequel to Ed Wood, the Tim Burton film from a while ago. Very much an outsider who's got a career, failing career as like a stand-up comedian or as a MC to introduce bands and stuff like that. Goes to the movies and kind of wonders why people find these movies exciting when there isn't any sex or violence or anything in them, and decides, even though he has no qualifications to do so, he's going to make a movie, and succeeds. As I said, very similar to Ed Wood. It goes to similar places, but is done so well. Amazing cast. Wesley Snipes is
quite an impressive lineup for that.
No, fantastic. So absolutely check it out. It's on Netflix, so it should be relatively easy to get.
Eddie Murphy back on film. I mean, that could mean Beverly Hills Cop 4.
There is a Beverly Hills Cop 4. I believe Netflix are picking it up as well. So awesome. Hopefully it will be good. As I say, I think he needs the right material nowadays. Jim, do you want to tell me a film you've seen?
I watched Joker, Joaquin Phoenix.
Not on my list.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I enjoyed it. Again, we've discussed this before about that film. Would you say it's like a Marmite kind of film, or would you say... Because there's a lot of I found it quite pretentious and, a bit up his own backside, and other people one of the best films ever made kind of thing. Yeah, I find myself kind of in the middle. I didn't think it was the best film ever made. Of course not, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed... I think Joaquin Phoenix is a very good actor. I like him as an actor.
On last year's list for You Were Never Really Here.
Brilliant film. I watched that. Very dark and gritty. similar to this role, actually, very dark and very gritty. Beautifully shot. Really good film, and Scorsese. There's a lot of Scorsese influences in it, and you can see that. And I didn't mind it. It didn't put me off. It didn't make me think, oh, they're just trying to rehash kind of old Scorsese films or whatever else. It was his own film, but heavy influences. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Similar. I find it fine. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Didn't get the hate. Didn't get the absolute passion.
Yeah.
A couple of people who did absolutely love it and said they identified with the character, they're now on a list. You know who you are. What the hell? I got a bit of criticism on Facebook for this. I created a little picture and said the caption, it's like the Rob Zombie Halloween of like supervillain movies. And I stand by that. And what I mean by it, because people say that and they mean it's like a rubbish film. What I mean when I say that is Rob Zombie's, like Halloween was criticised for a few different things, and I think those can be applied to Joker as well. So one of the criticisms of Rob Zombie's Halloween was that it was obsessed with like that exploitation 70s genre filmmaking when it wasn't really appropriate to the subject matter.
Yeah.
And absolutely, I think, swap out, exploitation for Scorsese fan fiction. Yeah, that applies. The other bit of criticism that I think is applicable to both films as well is that in Rob Zombie's Halloween, they were saying they explained too much about why Michael Myers does what he does.
Yeah.
And I also felt the best Joker stories, and I'm more of a comic book fan than Jim, and this is my take, the best Joker stories don't really explain why the Joker is what he does. They don't say it's mental illness or anything like that. Yeah. He is just a force of nature, a force of chaos. And that's why I was so impressed by Heath Ledger's performance in Dark Knight. Yeah. And I remember watching it at the cinema and being absolutely thrilled between his performance and the script, absolutely not knowing where that film was going to go. And for a big budget superhero flick at that time, that was genuinely quite exciting. With the Joker, it's like spelt out to the finest detail what the reasons are, and it's a compelling story and you can see it, but I felt it was overdone and it made everything that was going to come next inevitable. At no point did I feel, God, what could happen next? It was like, right, they're ticking the beats.
Yeah.
And it was powerful for that sense of inevitability, and that's why, I didn't hate it. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is fantastic. Production design, cinematography, amazing. Very spot on. But overall, the story and the direction, that kind of pulled it back from being a great film to a good, solid film.
Boom, 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 boom boom 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 boom.